Laura, it's always a pleasure speaking with you. I got to say straight off the bat, thank you for the conversation I had with you last year. We got a chance to talk about your book and, all about relationships and stuff like that. I have to ask you, how have things been going for the year? You've got so many things going on with your book. You have a radio show, too, if I'm correct, too. So many things.
I know. I have been so busy. I don't even know where to start, but I guess the biggest thing is the radio show. Keeps me busy. It's the dating and relationship show on Global News Radio 640 Toronto, and it airs Sunday nights at 9 p.m., and we have all sorts of different guests on, from psychologists to people who are out there dating, and the show pretty much caters to both singles and people in relationships because we discuss both. We discuss being single in this crazy modern dating world, and we discuss being in a relationship, being happy, maybe not so happy, all sorts of things.
And, of course, as I mentioned, you also have a book. You're an author.
I do. Yes, last year at around this time, I broke my ankle at the same time. After I launched my book, I broke my ankle.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it was horrible. But, yes, I did launch a book around this time last year. The book's called Single in the City, and it's from hookups and heartbreaks to love and life mates, tales and tips to attract your perfect match. And it pretty much helps people navigate the modern dating world for people who are just struggling with dating in general. Some people just haven't had dates at all. To people who have been in relationships for 20 plus years, who come out and they're come out of being in a relationship and they're going, okay, what's going on here? It's like I'm in the twilight zone. I don't know how to use dating apps. I don't know how to online date. So, and plus, a lot of them have dating and relationship fears. So I decided to write the book with my 16 years experience being in this field and hopefully helping people with their dating and single lives and helping them attract a perfect match.
Well, I'm going to jump around a bit because as we're speaking, Valentine's Day is coming up. And to me, when I talk to some people about it, some people get excited about it. And then there are some people who just hate Valentine's Day because it's almost like they feel like, if they're not in a relationship, they're not part of this. And some just hate it because they just think it's a big sale for, more Hallmark cards and restaurants boosting up prices for people who want to come out to have dinner.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I mean, Valentine's Day just doesn't have to be for lovers. It can be about relationships with friends and family as well. So I tell those people that are sad on Valentine's Day not to be, and to just give yourself self-love on Valentine's Day. And how you go about doing that is by pampering yourself, so make it an all-about-you day. Spend the day treating yourself to indulgences, things that make you feel good and bring you excitement. Hang out with family and friends. Maybe you want to go for dinner with some family or some friends. And then don't compare yourself to others because there's plenty of people that would love to trade places with you and celebrate Valentine's Day solo.
I agree with you on all of those accounts.
Yeah, and you have to understand, too, that there are a lot less fortunate people in the world than you. And you may be depressed about not having a partner in your life, but how about those that don't even have food or shelter or freedom, And another thing I suggest is love yourself more by doing something special for someone else. There's always a person in need. So give a gift to someone or volunteer your time at a homeless shelter. Keep busy. Don't even think about it, honestly. It's just another day. I always say Valentine's Day should be daily. You should always be thinking about your partner and always be doing special things for them, as opposed to just, celebrating it on one day.
Again, love what you just said. Now I want to get into the conversation with people who do want to get into a relationship, but it's hard for them. And to me, I'm a little bit surprised at that too, because I know back in day for me growing up, because I'm 53 years old, I mean, to be in a relationship, you just sort of walked up to somebody, you introduced yourself. If that person was willing to speak with you, they did. If they didn't, then you just kind of moved on. Now today, you've got social media, you've got apps, you've got all these different things, Facebook, to meet people anywhere around the world instantly, and people are still having a hard time to meet people.
They are. Well, what the problem is there's too many options nowadays, right? It's called the paradox of choice. I actually write about it in my book. And then when there's too much choice, we're reluctant to make a choice because we're afraid to make the wrong choice. So that's what's happening today. But I think that if you are, you really want to meet someone, the most important thing is to really put yourself out there. But I think it's important before you start dating is to really, take a step back and look within and ask yourself the question, like, am I really ready to date? Are you still hurting from a past relationship? And if you are, then you need to do the work on yourself. You have to be in a really good place and get over past hurts in order to start dating again. I think it's important to really put yourself out there as much as you can. So some people will come to me for matchmaking and, they'll just rely on me to match them up with people. But I always suggest that they do other things. So they try online dating sites. And if you're going to try an online dating site, then make sure that you're doing it properly. Again, in my book, I have an entire section on how to navigate the online dating world. It's really important to have a great photo. Or great photos of yourself, for example.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there. You there because this is very important.
Okay.
I've heard people say to me that when those photos go up, usually it's not what the person actually looks like. That photo could have been 20 years ago, could have been 15 years ago. So isn't that false advertisement?
It really is false advertising, and I think it's important that people represent themselves truthfully and that they don't post old pictures of themselves. I always suggest, no older than a year. That's not going to happen. But, yeah, it's going to happen with online dating, and that's another reason why I suggest people get out and meet people face-to-face, the old-fashioned way. I mean, I host speed dating events in the city, and they're great. We get out, let's say 12 to 20 couples, and everybody meets everybody who's there, and you get the opportunity to say yes or no, but not, not while you're at the event, later on. So there's no rejection while you're at the event. I also suggest people join clubs and try new activities. Go places where you can meet new friends, mingle in new social circles. Let everyone know that you're single and looking and to keep an eye out for you. Go to parties, go to trade shows, approach people. What happened to the old-fashioned way of approaching people? And there's a right way to do it and there's a wrong way to do it. So learn how to do it properly. Again, in my book. I could go on forever and ever.
No, and this is important what you just said, because right now I've talked to guys about this too. Because of the Me Too movement, and which is very important, and I'm glad this is happening. But there are guys who are afraid now to, how do I even approach a woman? Because I don't want her to, start thinking that I'm saying something wrong or I'm doing something wrong. They're afraid now even to approach in person because they're afraid of, maybe I'm not saying the right thing and I don't want a backlash to happen.
Yeah, and I get that. But, just don't say the wrong thing. Don't use cheesy pickup lines, right? Mm-hmm. What are some other things that I can tell you? Don't be afraid to if you want to approach a lady, okay, let's start from the beginning here. So the most important thing to remember about approaching a woman is to be non-threatening, right? So you want to give her some sort of personal space when you go up to her, usually an arm's length away. I've had guys come up to me and they get in my face and they start going, oh, you're so pretty. And that, girls hate that stuff, okay? So stay away from that. You don't, if they don't know you, then they're not going to want you in their space. Never stand in a way where she's blocked from exiting. Don't ever touch her in any kind of way, and stop using those cheesy pickup lines because they don't work and girls can see right through them. And when you approach a woman, pay attention to how she reacts. Body language is everything. So if you're getting one-word answers, she won't even look at you, and she's closing herself off, it's probably a sign to move on. And there's nothing wrong with a failed attempt, but it's knowing when to call it quits. Also, the most natural way to start a conversation with a woman is to comment on something that's happening around you or ask a question. This way you have an excuse to talk to her. So I'll give you an example. Let's say you're at a store, a department store or something, and you might want to get her opinion, right? So it's an excuse. So you might want to walk up to her and say, hey, excuse me, but can I get your opinion on something? I'm trying to buy a perfume for my mom. Do you have any great suggestions, right? And then take it from there. So she's not feeling threatened because you're asking her a question. You're talking about your mom. And so I think that's important.
What about if a woman wants to approach a man that she might be interested in? I find the problem with guys is as soon as a woman wants to approach a guy, he thinks, oh, I'm going to sleep with her in about 10, 15 minutes. How can a woman approach a guy and still make sure that there's that common respect?
Well, I guess she can't really do that until she doesn't know who she's approaching, right? So again, like she's just got to keep her distance, smile. A great thing that I always tell people is that usually women don't approach men, but they do the whole eye contact thing. So I think it's important to have that eye contact going first, because then that shows you if there's interest. So if you're looking at someone and they're looking back at you, and then there's this constant eye contact going back and forth, obviously there's an attraction there. So that's a great time to approach. And also if you're a woman and you don't really want to approach a guy, because there's still a lot of women that don't want to, get in his way and let him know that you are there. Because sometimes a guy doesn't realize or doesn't see you, so get in his way. Like maybe you want to go to the bathroom, you want to brush up against him while you walk by or something so that he notices you. But I think there's no way of really knowing until a woman approaches a guy how he's going to come off or what he's going to say and if he's going to be rude. But I really think with this Me Too movement going on, although I can't say that because I was at a bar a couple of weeks ago with a friend, and we went salsa dancing, and this guy was like in my face and he wouldn't leave me alone, and he was touching me, and I was like, dude, do you know what's going on right now with this Me Too movement? And he ignored me. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. So there's still a lot of people out there that don't listen to the news and really don't know what's going on. But I think for the most part, I think it's really an eye opener, and I think it's a lot of people are going to be more aware of their actions and what they're doing when they're out there and talking to the opposite sex. And for some, the same sex. There's a lot of that going on too.
Wow, it's a different world out there. You and I could go on.
Really is.
We could go on for hours, but I know we can't. So I'm going to ask you again, for folks who want to pick up your book, where do they go? Also, as you said, you have speed dating events, all the things that you're doing, including with the radio show. How do they get in contact with you? How do they get involved?
They can go to singleinthecity.ca. They can also follow me on Instagram, Laura_Bilotta, Bilotta. But everything that I'm doing as well, like singleinthecity.ca is an entire portal of dating, of information. So even if you don't want to buy my book, we have tons of blogs. Like I write maybe 2 blogs a week on there. So there's tons of information on dating, relationships that can really help you in your search.
Thank you so much, and happy Valentine's Day.
You too, Rudy.
We can build a world of love.